Oh boy, am I ever diving into the deep end here. Whenever somebody brings up Pokemon, there's always mixed feelings and emotions on it. Not that I think it's a bad game, but I think it's just because we all play the game differently. So I wanted to take some time to explore the vast multiverse of different Pokemon players. I'm going to be talking about all the different types of Pokemon players I've seen on my epic adventure in Twitch and YouTube. So that being said, I may miss some because I just really haven't encountered them. So if you guys can think of any different ones, then definitely let me know in the comments below. Here's a bit of format to this video, a guided treasure map, if you will. I want to go into each different player and talk about the following. 1, how they play the game. I've noticed that every different type of player has a completely different play style, and we're going to explore that. 2, how they're viewed in the community. There's different views on different players in the community, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And 3, my personal experiences with them and what I feel about them. This might be a sort of an iceberg type video where we're going to go from most common player to least common player, and that's just purely based on how often I've encountered them. But without further ado, let's just get this bus rolling. First up, we're going to talk about casual players. Casual players are people that play Pokemon just as the overlords of Nintendo instructed us to do so. You cannot knock somebody for this. They are here to have a good time catching Pokemon, beating the gym leaders, fighting the Elite Four, and finally taking down the rival and beating the game. It is a euphoric feeling. This is a person who appreciates the franchise, has some different feelings and some new mechanics, but eventually ends up loving them and then overall has a very positive outlook on the games. This person is generally liked in the community, and simply just because they really have nothing bad to say. I've met a lot of casual Pokemon players, and let me tell you, they are the nicest people in the community. I've never had a problem with them, and whenever I voiced an opinion on a Pokemon game, usually they respect it, which is ideally how you should respond to an opinion. So overall, A+ grade to these players since they know how to have a good time with whatever's given to them. Next, we have the Pokémon Collectors. This is your friend that you peeked over their shoulder in grade school to have a look at their Game Boy and noticed that they had 300+ hours, the entire Pokedex, and then the letter from Professor Oak saying, "Thank you very much for playing this goddamn game." You heard whispers and echoes about this person from every corner of the playground at recess, but you never actually thought it was real. These people are revered as Pokemon gods, and to be honest, rightfully so. Catching every single Pokemon in the game is quite an incredible feat, especially back in the day when there was no online trading. Back then, not only did you have to beat the game, collect all the Pokemon you can, evolve all the Pokemon you can, you also had to have a friend that had the same game, had a different version, and then had also collected the Pokemon that you need. And on top of that, you needed a link cable to connect and trade. Not only that, but they were Pokemon that you need to trade in order to evolve. If I gave my friend a Haunter and he got a Gengar, I better hope he gives me back that Gengar so I can get the damn Pokedex entry. And brother, if he didn't give you back that Gengar, then we got some problems. Nintendo was sending kids on a goddamn adventure quest. You had a better chance collecting all the Dragon Balls and wishing for the Pokemon yourself. Even with today's trading system being online, it's still pretty tough. Just the sheer number of Pokemon that are out there, it's massive. Like, for you to go and collect every single one of them, even to the one game, it is tough. In my experience, Pokemon players like this are super enjoyers of the game. They are basically the people that 100% any game they touch. The next type of Pokemon players we want to talk about are shiny hunters. Shiny Pokemon first made their debut in Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Silver, and Game Freak basically said, yeah, you know what, let's create the same Pokemon, but let's give them alternative color schemes and make them sparkle. But we're going to make them incredibly rare. These kids are going to lose their mind. And having as much as a 1 in 8,192 odds of getting a shiny Pokemon, they did not kid around on the rare part. Game Freak unknowingly spawned a whole different type of category of players. Someone that does not only want to collect the Pokemon, but showcase the best ones that they have. They are very much like the Pokemon collector, but on a whole nother level. Shiny hunting is actually a pretty big subcategory on Twitch and YouTube, where most people stream them shiny hunting, and a lot of people that share the same interest watch and enjoy. To me, this kind of gives me the feeling of opening up a Pokemon pack or playing the lottery. I mean, you know you're not going to get something really big, but there's always the what if that's in your mind. And I think a lot of these people are just chasing that what if. And having a big group of people that really enjoys the same what if feeling, it's kind of cool. Next up, we got Speedrunners. I'm sure you guys are aware, but speedrunning is about beating a game as fast as possible. You put the jets on, you start hitting the buttons, mashing everything, and you get to the end of the game without any questions asked. There are usually a bunch of different categories for speedrunning, but the ones that stand out are any percent and 100%. Any percent meaning that you could beat the game with any amount of progress, doesn't really matter. As long as you beat the game, that's the time. 100% is basically getting to the end of the game while getting 100% completion of the game. And if that didn't already make your head spin, there's also subcategories for doing the same thing, but with glitches and without glitches. So it's a little wild out there. These players have evolved way past the need for casual play and started adopting their own new strategies to really push the boundaries of how fast it could beat the game. And because of that, the community that speedrunning has garnered is almost unmatched. I mean, yeah, there are some bad actors in it. I mean, people do cheat in speedrunning. It's kind of crappy, but I mean, I think there's a lot of good that overshines the bad in this situation. However, Pokemon speedrunning is a completely different beast. I'm sure if you guys have all played Pokemon and, you know, I've dealt with the frustrations of you're in battle and they hit you with a critical hit and kill your main Pokemon, or taking a long time to find that one Pokemon you really want, or God forbid, you get stuck in a cave with 7,000 Zubats and it takes you about an hour to get out of the cave and you just want to throw your Game Boy at the wall. Pokemon has a major luck factor, meaning that you can employ the absolute best strategies and do everything as fast as you can, but you just didn't get the right run because you didn't get a Nidorino in 3 encounters. The odds are definitely stacked up against speedrunners, but that might actually make the category much more enjoyable to watch. Maybe people do like watching people get lucky, and look at Shiny Hunters. Being a speedrunner myself, I mean, I don't speedrun Pokemon, but I can definitely appreciate the grind that goes into doing this. And having the luck and the skill to pull off an amazing run is definitely something worth bragging about. Our next branch of Pokemon players are Nuzlockers. For those guys that don't know, a Nuzlocke challenge are a set of rules that basically make the game much harder. There's usually 2 rules, but many people have different variations on other rules, but main 2 are once a Pokemon faints, it is completely out of play. You cannot use it again. And you can only catch 1 Pokemon per route. I mean, you can imagine the frustrations of only being able to catch 1 Pokemon and then having to lose that Pokemon later and realize that you need to reset the run because you're out of Pokemon. This is a player that has been constantly asking Nintendo to have some sort of difficulty bar, just a little slider to say, yes, I want an easy, medium, and hard mode. For real, Nintendo, like it's just scale the level, scale the damage, and we're good. We have a difficulty setting, but no, they don't want to do it. They eventually got fed up with Nintendo not doing anything about it, and they just said, fine, I'll do it myself, and made this. From here, countless variations of Nuzlocks were born. We had the original Nuzlocke, the hardcore Nuzlocke, the Egg Lock, the Mono Lock, the Wonder Lock, the list goes on. There's a whole site of them. It's wild. It is wild. Players that are pro Nuzlockers know everything there is to know about the game. What stats the Pokemon is, the natures, the best type of natures, what Pokemon are on which route, what types are great against which gym, what moves the gym leader has. Anything you want to know about the game, a pro Nuzlocker will know that. To me, the fun of the Nuzlocke is kind of the uncertainty of it all. You don't really know which Pokemon you're going to get, so you kind of just have this random hodgepodge of Pokemon that you kind of have to make work. And it's just an amazing feeling when you can actually take that team and bring it right to the Elite Four and beat the game, and you're just like, damn, I beat the game with literally this random Pokemon that I found that I thought would have done horribly, but it turned out I beat the game with them. There is also another rule that people usually employ is the rule that you have to name each Pokemon, and I do agree with this rule. This one should be mandatory because it adds a personality. I have done a few Nuzlockes in the past, and I can't even explain how earth-shattering it is when you lose your favorite Pokemon and you just end up going on this like anime villain arc to revenge them. My very first Nuzlocke was actually on Twitch. I've never Nuzlocked a game before, and I recorded it and put it all up on YouTube, which was kind of really cool. I've never done anything like that before, and it was just such a fun experience for me to do. For my first Nuzlocke, I didn't do too bad, but we had a lot of goofy moments, like, you know, prepping for a fight that didn't really exist, or even over preparing for the Eternatus fight and then having it be knocked out in one hit. I really do encourage Pokemon players to try Nuzlocke once in their lives. It's very fun. And now finally, our last type of player, VGC players. VGC, or Video Game Championship. This is basically Pokemon at a competitive level. I don't really know much about VGC enough to talk about it, but I could definitely appreciate the skill and effort that goes behind it, because it's actually quite incredible what people can do with Pokemon. I mean, the closest thing I've gotten to with VGC is Pokemon Showdown, and it's like playing a game of chess or something. Like, you're always trying to play mind games with them, but it's it's definitely a different aspect of Pokemon, and one that should be celebrated. On that note, I think I covered all the types of Pokemon players that I've experienced, at least. And like I said, if you guys did know any other types or have any other types, let me know in the comment section. I'd love to hear them. And yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and we'll be seeing you next time. See ya!